You're ambitious, you're overloaded, and you're tired of advice that looks good on paper but dies in real life. Welcome to The Rise with Sterling Phoenix, where clarity cuts through the chaos, systems beat burnout, and bold moves actually stick. Different tracks, different angles, one mission to help you rise in your turn. Let's get into it. Most marketing dashboards are full of metrics that make you feel busy, but not metrics that actually make you money. Welcome to The Rise with Sterling Phoenix. This is a fire episode, bold clarity and hard truths you can actually use. And today, we're cutting through one of the most expensive delusions in digital marketing, that more metrics equal more clarity. They don't. Most marketing dashboards are digital hoarding. 50 metrics, 12 graphs, color-coded performance indicators that look super impressive in presentations but drive zero decisions. And here's what it costs you. First of all, budget. You're optimizing campaigns based on metrics that don't correlate to revenue. Second, time. You're drowning in reports instead of doing the work that actually moves needles. And third, impact. While you're tracking vanity metrics, your competitors are speaking the language of actual business results and winning. So today, I'm breaking down 3 digital metrics that actually drive growth. Not the 97 that make you look busy, the 3 that will actually make you money. And I'm giving you the framework to cut the noise so you can finally focus on what matters. Because when you master these 3 metrics, you stop reacting and start leading. You make decisions faster, spend smarter, and deliver results that compound. Let's get started. Before we talk about what to measure, we need to understand why most people are measuring the wrong things. Because this isn't just about bad habits, it's about systemic incentives that reward activity over outcomes. Let me show you how this happens. First of all, there's this illusion of movement. Metrics like clicks and impressions, followers, engagement rate, they all feel like traction. The numbers are going up and the graph is trending in the right direction. You're showing progress in weekly meetings. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Those metrics don't correlate to revenue. Now, think about these 2 statements. We doubled our social media impressions this quarter. We doubled our pipeline this quarter. Which one actually matters to the business? Which one proves your marketing is working? Which one gives you leverage when budgets get tight? The problem with vanity metrics is that they create this false sense of progress. You're working, you're executing, numbers are improving, but you're actually moving sideways, not forward. By the time that you realize impressions don't pay salaries, you've already burned a quarter, or maybe a year, optimizing the wrong things. The second problem is the dashboard trap. Marketers measure what's easy, not what matters most of the time. Here's how this actually plays out. What's easy to measure is website traffic, email open rates, social engagement, content views, and ad impressions. What's harder to measure? Which campaigns actually influence closed deals? Which content build enough trust to progress opportunities? Which channels generated customers who stayed and expanded? And where prospects are getting stuck in the buying journey? So teams obviously default to the easy stuff. Who wouldn't? They build these dashboards full of metrics that they can track automatically. And then they present those dashboards like they're proof of strategic thinking. But they're not. Here's what happens in the real world. Your CEO looks at the dashboard and says, great, traffic is up 40%. How much pipeline did that create? Or engagement is up 25%. How much revenue did that drive? Or we published 50 pieces of content. Which ones actually influence deals? Silence or vague answers. Or we're still building the attribution model. That's the dashboard trap. You're showing movement without showing impact. And that's dangerous because when budgets tighten and priorities shift and when the business needs to cut costs, the teams that can't prove ROI get cut first. The third problem is the clarity problem. When you're busy tracking too many metrics, you can't see the signal through the noise. You're looking at 50 data points, trying to figure out what's working and what's not, and every channel looks okay. Every campaign shows some results. Nothing is clearly winning or failing. So, what happens? You keep doing everything. You spread budget thin. You never double down on what actually works because you can't clearly identify what works. That's expensive and that's slow. And that's how you get outpaced by competitors who know exactly what's driving their growth. All right, we've diagnosed the problem. Now let's talk about the metrics that actually matter. Three of them. That's it. Not 30, not 50, just three. Master these, and you will have more clarity than 95% of marketers who are drowning in their dashboards. Metric number one, CAC, customer acquisition cost. How much you spend to win a customer. That's the most fundamental metric in growth, and most people don't track it accurately. And the formula is really quite simple. Total marketing and sales spend divided by the number of new customers equals CAC. But here's where people get it wrong. They don't include everything in total spend. They count ad spend, maybe they count salaries, but do they count software and tools, agency fees, content production costs, events and conferences, overhead allocated to marketing and sales? Well, if you're not counting all of it, your CAC is fiction. You're making decisions based on incomplete data. Now, here's why CAC matters. Growth isn't growth if you're bleeding money. You can double your customer count, but if your CAC went from $500 to $1,200 in the process, you're not growing efficiently. You're buying growth at unsustainable margins. And when the market shifts, when budgets tighten, that strategy collapses. Smart teams track CAC obsessively, not just the number, but CAC by channel, CAC by customer segment, CAC trend over time, and the CAC payback period. How long until the customer is actually profitable? Now, here's where AI actually can be super helpful. Predictive models can show you which campaigns are lowering CAC fastest before you've even spent the full budget. So instead of waiting to the end of the quarter to see campaign A had a CAC of $600 and campaign B had a CAC of $900, AI can actually tell you on day 14, campaign A is trending toward a CAC of that $600 and campaign B is trending toward a CAC of $900. You should shift budget now. That's the difference between reactive optimization and proactive efficiency. Let me give you a real example. A B2B company was running 15 different campaigns. They were tracking impressions, clicks, form fills, all the usual stuff. But when they actually calculated CAC by campaign, they discovered 5 of their campaigns had a CAC under $400. 7 of them were falling between $800 and $1,200. And 3 had a CAC of over $2,000. They cut the bottom 8 campaigns and reallocated that budget to the top 5. The result was overall CAC dropped by 31%. Same customer volume, way less waste. That's what happens when you focus on the metric that actually matters. Now let's talk about the second metric, lifetime value, LTV, which is how much revenue a customer generates over their full journey with you. The basic formula is average purchase value times number of purchases per year times the average customer lifespan. That equals LTV. But the real value isn't in the calculation. It's in what the metric reveals. The reason LTV really matters is not all customers are created equal. You can acquire 100 customers this quarter. That sounds great. But if 70 of them churn in 6 months and only generate $500 in revenue, while 30 of them stay for 3 years and generate $15,000 each, you spent the same amount of money acquiring both groups, but one of them drives 90% of your profit. Chasing the wrong customers is crazy expensive. And most marketers don't realize they're doing it because they're celebrating new customer count instead of tracking lifetime value by segment. Here's the strategic insight: retention is just as powerful as acquisition, if not more so. Most marketing teams obsess over getting more customers. But if you can increase LTV by 20% through better retention, better expansion, and better upsells, that's often far more profitable than just acquiring 20% more customers. Because you're not paying the CAC again, you're maximizing the value of the customers you already want. This is where marketing starts to think holistically, not just top of funnel, but the entire customer journey. So let's talk through a real scenario. A SaaS company was acquiring customers across three different segments: small business with an average lifetime value of $3,200, mid market with an average lifetime value of $18,500, and enterprise customers with an average lifetime value of $67,000. They were celebrating that small business was their highest volume segment. Look how many customers were winning. But when they actually mapped CAC to lifetime value, well, small business had a CAC of $1,100, a lifetime value of $3,200, which is a 2.9 times return. Mid-market, on the other hand, had a CAC of $2,800 and a lifetime value of $18,500. That's a 6.6 times return. And then enterprise had a CAC of $8,200, but a lifetime value of $67,000, which is an 8.2 times return. So they shifted focus. They invested more in mid-market and enterprise, scaled way back on small business acquisition. And the result? While their customer count dropped 15%, revenue increased 47%. Profit doubled. And that's what happens when you optimize for lifetime value, not just customer volume. Now for the third metric: conversion rate from pipeline to close. This is how effectively leads turn into revenue. So the formula is the number of closed deals divided by the number of qualified opportunities equals your conversion rate. But the power isn't just in tracking the overall number, it's understanding where conversion breaks down. Here's why conversion matters. If conversion sucks, more traffic equals more waste. Most marketers think we need more leads. But if your conversion rate from lead to customer is only 2%, throwing more leads at the problem just means wasting more budget on leads that won't convert. Fix your conversion first, then scale. So here's how to use conversion rate diagnostically. You want to track conversion at every single stage: lead to qualified opportunity, opportunity to demo or meeting, demo to proposal, and proposal to close won. When you track each stage, you can identify exactly where things break. Low lead to opportunity conversion, your targeting or messaging is off. You're attracting the wrong people. Low demo to proposal conversion, your sales process or your product demo probably isn't compelling, or you're selling to people who aren't decision ready. Low proposal to close conversion, you got an issue with pricing, competition, or value perception issues. Each breakdown point requires a different fix, but you can't fix what you can't see. And here's the power of improving conversion: it's pure efficiency gain. You're not spending more, you're just getting more from what you're already spending. If you can move conversions from, say, 15% to 23%, well, that's a 53% increase in customers with zero additional ad spend. That's the kind of leverage that compounds, and that's what separates teams that struggle from teams that scale. Now let's look at a real example. A company had a decent lead flow, but their lead to customer conversion was stuck at 8%. So they audited the nurture sequence, and they found that it was generic. feature focused, and sent the same emails to everyone regardless of signal. They rebuilt it around 3 segments based on intent signals: high intent, education heavy, case study forward; medium intent around value prop focused, objection handling; and low intent, thought leadership and long term nurture. They also reduced sequence length from 12 emails to 7 and focused on clarity over volume. The result was conversion improved from 8% to 11.7%. Same traffic, 46% more customers. That's revenue gain with 0 additional ad spend. Pure efficiency. All right, we've covered the 3 metrics. Now let's talk about how to actually cut the noise so you can focus on these. Because knowing what matters is step 1. Eliminating what doesn't is step 2. Here are the 3 filters that are going to help you clean up your dashboard and your thinking. First off, the business impact test. If the metric doesn't directly tie to revenue, profit, or growth efficiency, you need to cut it. Here's how this works. Go through your dashboard. For every metric, ask, does this tell me something about how efficiently we're making money? CAC? Yes, that's efficiency. LTV? Yes, that's profitability. Conversion rate? Yes, that's growth leverage. Email open rates? Not really. It's a proxy, but it doesn't tell you if you're making money. Social media impressions? No, that's just visibility theater. Website traffic? Only if you can tie it directly to pipeline or CAC trends. The rule is simple. If it doesn't pass the business impact test, it doesn't deserve prime real estate in your dashboard. That doesn't mean those metrics are useless. They might be useful for tactical optimization, like testing subject lines or A/B testing landing pages, but they shouldn't be in your strategic view. They shouldn't be what you check every single morning. They shouldn't drive major budget decisions. Reserve your attention for metrics that actually measure money in, money out, and how efficiently that's happening. The second filter is the funnel filter. Every metric you track should answer, where are we losing money or momentum in the funnel? Think of your funnel as a series of conversion points. Awareness, that leads to interest, that leads to consideration, that leads to decision, that leads to retention, that leads to expansion. At each point, you're either converting people forward or you're losing them. The funnel filter asks, does this metric help me identify where we're leaking? Low conversion from awareness to interest? That's a messaging or targeting problem. High CAC is the symptom. Low conversion from consideration to decision? That's a sales enablement or competitive positioning problem. It shows up in conversion rate. Low retention? That's a product market fit or customer success problem. That's going to show up in lifetime value. When you filter metrics through the funnel lens, everything becomes actionable. Open rates are down, doesn't tell you what to fix. Lead to opportunity conversion dropped from 18 to 12%, tells you exactly where to look. Either lead quality declined or your qualification process broke. That's the difference between data and insight. The third filter is the action lens. If a metric doesn't drive a decision, it doesn't deserve tracking. For every metric on your dashboard, you need to ask, if this metric changed by 20%, either up or down, what action would I take? If you can't answer that question clearly, the metric is just noise. Now, here's some examples. CAC increases by 20%. Your action would be to audit your campaigns, shift budget from high CAC to low CAC channels, and investigate if the targeting shifted. Or, if lifetime value decreases by 20%, your action would be to analyze your churn patterns, improve onboarding, enhance customer success, and review your product market fit. Or, let's say your conversion rate drops by 20%. Your action would be to audit your nurture sequences, review your sales enablement, test your messaging variations, and check your competitive landscape. All super clear, all very actionable. Now, in contrast, If social media impressions drop by 20%, your action is post more? Change algorithms? Does it even matter if it's not driving pipeline? Or what if email open rates increase by 20%? Your action equal, great, but did it actually change CAC, LTV, or conversion? If not, who cares? See the difference? One set of metrics drives real business decisions, and the other drives activity theater. Now, let's talk about what changes when you focus on these three metrics. Because this isn't about dashboards, it's about how you think, how you prioritize, and how you execute. The first change is you make faster decisions. When you're tracking 50 metrics, every decision requires analysis paralysis. You're trying to balance 10 different signals, all that point to slightly different directions. But when you're focused on CAC, LTV, and conversion, decisions become clear. Should we invest more in this channel? Well, check the CAC. If it's competitive, yes. If not, no way. Should we focus on this customer segment? Go check the LTV. If it's strong, yes. If it's weak, you need to shift your focus. Should we rebuild this nurture sequence? Well, go check your conversion rate. If it's broken, yes, definitely. If it's working, then you need to leave it alone. You stop overthinking and you start executing. Now, the second change is that you stop wasting budget. Most marketing budgets leak because teams can't see where the waste is happening. They're running campaigns that feel productive but aren't delivering ROI. They're investing in channels that look busy but don't actually convert. And they're chasing volume instead of value. When you track CAC by channel, you see exactly where money is being wasted. And you can reallocate fast. When you track LTV by segment, you stop acquiring customers who churn. You focus on the ones who stay and expand. And when you track conversion by stage, you stop throwing more leads at a broken funnel. You fix the funnel first, then you scale. That shift alone can save you 20 to 40% of wasted spend without cutting your results. The third change is you align your team. Teams get scattered when everyone's optimizing different metrics. The content team is chasing engagement. The paid team is chasing impressions. Sales team is frustrated because leads aren't converting. But when the whole team knows the scorecard is CAC, LTV, and conversion, then everything aligns. The content team asks, how does this piece impact conversion or LTV? The paid team asks, how do we lower CAC without sacrificing lead quality? The sales team asks, what can marketing provide to improve our demo to close conversion? Everyone is speaking the same language. Everyone's solving for the same outcomes. That's how you build a high-performing team. Not through more meetings or better project management tools, through clarity on what actually matters. The fourth change is you build credibility. When you can walk into any room, whether it's a budget meeting, a strategy session, or a quarterly review, and clearly explain, here's our CAC trend, here's our LTV by segment, and here's where conversion is breaking down, and here's how we're fixing it, you become the person people trust with bigger budgets, bigger decisions, and bigger opportunities. Because you're not guessing, you're not spinning. You're showing the business in clear terms. Here's what's working, here's what's not, and here's what we're doing about it. That's how you earn influence. That's how you get the resources you need. And that's how you build a career that scales. Now let's bring this full circle. The problem with vanity metrics is they create the illusion of movement without actual impact. They trap you into dashboards that don't drive decisions, and they make it impossible to see what's actually working. The three metrics that drive growth, CAC, how efficiently you acquire customers, LTV, how much value customers create over time, and conversion rate, how effectively you turn pipeline into revenue, are what you want to focus on. And the frameworks for cutting noise, the business impact test. Does it tie to revenue, profit, or efficiency? The funnel filter. Does it show where we're losing money or momentum? And the action lens. If it changes by 20%, what action would I take? Here's what changes when you focus on these three. You make faster decisions. You stop wasting budget. You align your team, and you build credibility that compounds. So this week, here's what I want you to do. Open your marketing dashboard. Look at every metric you're tracking. Cross out every metric that doesn't directly tie to money, efficiency, or conversion. Be ruthless. If it wouldn't help you make a major budget decision, it shouldn't be in your strategic view. Then focus on the three that matter: customer acquisition cost, lifetime value, and conversion rate, pipeline to close. That's your new scorecard. Everything else, either delete it or move it to a tactical optimization view that you check weekly, not daily. Focus your daily attention on the three metrics that fund growth. Make every single decision through that lens. Watch what happens to your clarity, your speed, and your results. Here's the one thing I want you to remember. Growth doesn't come from chasing more metrics. It comes from focusing on the few that actually drive the business forward. CAC, LTV, conversion. That's it. Master those and you'll have more strategic clarity than 95% of the teams drowning in their dashboards. So, stop measuring everything. Start measuring what matters. That's how you build momentum that compounds. That's how you earn trust. That's how you actually drive growth. Thanks for listening to The Rise. Take a moment to subscribe. And if you're ready for traction now, head over to fueledbysuccess.com and grab your next step toolkit. Here's the truth. Good is crowded. Burnout is optional. Leaders rise when they choose clarity. This is The Rise.